Hello. 1978 Honda GL1000 Goldwing. Just picked this up a few days ago from a guy somewhere. Um, anyway, I just thought I'd talk a little bit about Goldwings and basically the GL1000 different flavors. So the first ones were 75, and then they ran through to 79. So this 78 and the 79 were very similar, and let's call them the late model. The 75 and 76 were the early model, and I think the 77 had a few little changes from the 76. But now I'm saying that I can't really remember what they were. But let's call them early and late. Anyway, so the most significant differences on the late Goldwing, as you'll see, is that basically, even though this doesn't have the dummy tank and the side covers are a different shape. I think the dummy tank may be the same, but it has this. They have these. I wouldn't say hideous, but not very nice clocks mounted on the dummy tank, and then they also have different gauges on them as well, with red needles and that, rather than the green ones as they had on the earlier models. I guess the other significant changes are one, with the Comstar wheels and different brakes, and two, with the different exhaust system. The early ones had that really heavy collector box on them, which was prone to rotting, and this was an equally heavy system, very heavy exhaust system on these. So this is the difference too. So I think the rear wheel is pretty interchangeable with the later ones, with the early ones rather. So the Comstar or the Spoke you can do, but you'll notice it's actually got different brakes and different brake calipers, so you can't interchange these brakes and wheels very easily without changing the fork sliders or putting different forks. And I think the forks are the same diameter. So the Comstars, I don't know what the advantage of these Comstar wheels are, but for a cafe racer the spoke wheels definitely look the nicest. But in order to run a spoke front on this, you have to do something. I think fenders are the same pretty much, apart from the fact that on the earlier ones they had a grab rail that went across the back here, and the turn signals on that, and now you can see the turn signals are integrated with the rear light on the back of the fender. I think seats might have changed as well. This is a kind of custom-y kind of seat. But okay, so here's a very, very significant change though, and it kind of went on, is that there's a lot of engine changes even on the inside. That they on the outside they look pretty ubiquitous or the same, but on the inside they're pretty different. Different cams, different valve sizes, different valve timing, a lot of differences, and also significantly different carburetors. So a lot of talk about GL1000 carburetors. They can be a real pig to rebuild, and generally not very nice. There's lots of little O-rings and valves and passageways and stuff like that. You can get rebuilt professionally for about $500, but on the carburetors, and I'll walk around to the other side, on the carburetors somewhere. Oh, on the inside is stamped like 3 numbers and a letter, and it'll be something like 761A or something like that. And that's the carburetor type. So it's very important, or I'm told it's very important, that you need to match your carburetor type with your engine, because there are different throttle body sizes or jettings and stuff like that. You can probably, I've heard of people putting GL1100 carbs on these, or even running the even running a single carb with a manifold. But for my money, I'd say that the correct carbs, correctly set up, would be the best bet. So again, if you're buying a used set of carbs, you can find out online what your model numbers, what the carb numbers meant to be for your year. And they varied tremendously. They even varied in year to year, because the 76 Limited had different carbs on it than the standard 76. So in terms of collectability, actually the earlier ones, like anything else, are worth the most money. So and really nice 75 or 76 are probably worth the most money, and they had the nicest paint jobs as well. They had a really nice red and a kind of okay yellow, but these came in a kind of horrible blue, and the 77 came in some like black with green trim, which wasn't very nice. In terms of performance, I don't know. I've always been a bit disappointed with 1000cc Goldwing performance. They've always just felt a bit flat and underpowered. I'm at 5,000 feet, so that might have something to do with it. The only one that I ever had that had a bit of go in it was one of these, and actually it was the same colour blue, that had all the stuff taken off it, and like a naked wing. I've got a video posted which had a little bit more response, because basically it didn't weigh quite as much. Weak areas in these, well, rear brake rotors tend to wear a little bit. If you put a lot of bags on it and stuff, the drive assembly can wear, the drive coupling can wear out. I've seen that a couple of times. Obviously, shock absorbers at this, anything that's original this age need to be replaced. Exhaust systems rotten, especially on the early ones with that big collector. Other than that, they're a fairly big, solid motorcycle. I mean, they're geared fairly high. They're not a bad bike to ride. They've got a pretty nice classic look, but like I say, the more shit you put on it, the slower it's going to be, and the heavier it's going to be. So the more gas it's going to use. This has got a little kind of, I don't know. Somebody's recovered that seat and made a nice job of it. A little bit of a kind of ripple at the back here, but overall, that's a pretty nice seat on that. So like I said, these. The 78 and 79 are less collectible. It doesn't necessarily mean so that a bad bike. I mean, you can probably wind it up to like 110 if you're brave enough to hang on to it at that kind of speed. And a lot of people put things like this has got a Vetta windjammer on it, although what's nice about this is it has been painted to match the bike, so that might be worth a little bit. I mean, like I say, the fork internals might have differed, but the diameter is the same. The fenders are pretty much the same back and front. I think the frames might well be the same as well, with a little bit of nuance. And again, if you're going to buy one of these and run it, electronic ignition's a really good idea. Then it means you don't rely so much on that ballast resistor on the coils, which if you've got a lumpy idle and you think it's your carbs, it could well be your ignition. I say if you replace its electronic ignition, that might make a difference. And good clean 75s, with that lovely metallic kind of blue colour they did, might go for like $3,000-5,000. Fucking horrible 1000cc ones, 78, 79 that are just about running, might go for about 500. I'd actually give a couple of $100 for this from a guy that I know, and got a spare bike with it as well, actually. Again, so plenty of parts available. There's a million of these sold in the United States, so look at eBay for parts. They say they're never going to set the world on fire, but like I said, when I took all the stuff off one of them, made it into a naked wing, it was actually a very, very pleasant bike to ride, and it looked pretty mean as well. Actually, got rid of that big rear fender. And you look at one of my other videos if you're interested. Another thing, watch your rusty gas tank. It's not a pain to get the gas tank out, but it's got a filter on the inside of it, so if you want to cream it, it can be a bit of a job. You're better off finding a good one off of eBay, and I tend to sell them for about 50 or 60 bucks. That's it, really. Like I say, not a bad bike. It did a limited edition version 1 in '76 to celebrate 25 years of something, or I can't remember what it was now. Maybe Honda motorcycles, but which tend to go for a little bit of money. But again, generally earlier models go for more money. Later models do not. I mean, if it smokes, you have to treat a Goldwing engine as a sealed unit. I mean, it's just too expensive to rebuild a Goldwing engine. I'm not saying it can't be done. If you want to do it, you can, but it might be like 30 bucks for a valve and 30 bucks for a head gasket, and you can find engines for a couple of $100. Certainly, that's what I sell them for anyway. So there you go. Just thought I'd give you a little bit of information. If you go and look at one of these, the other thing is just make sure the charging system works. Make sure it's charging. And on these ones, they have that voltmeter there, and it should be running at about 14. If it doesn't, it might be some of this gubbins on the side here, but it also might be the old ohm out your stator, because if this has got the stator lives behind here, and if you've got to fix that, it means you've got to whip the engine out. Although you can actually undo the engine and twist it just enough in the frame to get that off, but you still need to disconnect the exhaust and the carbs and everything else, and it's a bit of a pain in the arse, really, that you don't want to have to do if you can possibly avoid it. So actually, another note is the three wires that come out the alternator, and I can't remember where they are on here, but basically get rid of the block connector and use it and hardwire, and that'll make a difference, especially on an 1100 or a 1200. Do that, which is nice actually, because a couple of times I've bought bikes where guys think they need an alternator, in actual fact it's just the connector screwed up, and I've replaced it, and then I've scored a bit of a home run. So like I say, if you want a nice one of these, be prepared to pay a couple of $1,000 for this 78, 79, or probably double that for a 77, 75, 76. And like I say, you know, you ride it, look after it, you'll get your money back. They aren't making any more of these really. And there's some people who are turning them to cafe racers as well. And just on that, I'll tell you what, there's some fucking horrible cafe racers out there that have been made with great big stupid seats and great big stupid exhausts and horrible paint jobs. And that, just look at nakedgoldwing.com or Google Naked Goldwing and see, you know. But they're on in the same score, there are some nice ones as well. And so you get one of these, it'll do about 35, 40 on gas, depending on how much right wrist you give it. They don't use a great deal of tyres, but you're worth putting some decent tyres on it as well, and they don't stop particularly quickly. Anyway, hey, enough of my yakking. It's Sunday. I'm going to go for a pint. All right, see you.